My name is Joey Giacone. I was at Schreiner from 69 to 71.
David Ainsworth from 1969, 1974.
Bill Dempsey came in 68 through 70 in high school and 70 through December 71.
I came there at midterm in 70 and I left at the end of the year in 70. I was only there 1 year, but it made a big difference in my life.
Tell me who you are and where you're from.
Tom Stevens, I'm from Dallas, Texas.
And what years did you go to the Schreiner Institute?
I came in January of 1970 and left in the summer of 1971 when I graduated as a senior.
Where did you come from when you went to school there at that time? Were you from Dallas then?
I was from Dallas,
okay.
Yeah.
So you pretty much came from Dallas, went there, then spent the rest of your life in Dallas after that, or you been around?
No, actually I went to Stephen F. Austin after that. Straight from there to Nacogdoches, yeah. Packed up my bags, drove straight by my parents' house and kept right on going.
It's a beautiful campus.
And went to Stephen F. Austin. And
are there any particular teachers or faculty members that you remember at your time with Schreiner?
Yeah, there's a number of them. There was Mr. McCullough, I believe his name was, Bruce McCullough, I believe. He was the math teacher.
Okay.
And I may have that name wrong, but I believe
I think you're right, because he's been mentioned before. So.
And he was the one guy that seemed to be able to explain math without it coming like it wasn't coming from a nerd. Like the guy was just normal about algebra and stuff. Yeah. I was really getting it for the first time. And it just really was a great guy. It made you feel not like anybody was talking down to you at all, and he wasn't trying to sell math. He was just trying to help you get it.
Excellent.
And, I remember him, and obviously remember Mr. Campion, in good and bad times. And fortunately, I didn't get in enough trouble to be asked to leave, so I was guys. And many of us were coming together. But one thing about it that I always looked at, and I looked at it afterwards, was we were guys who were all in the same boat. Everybody who arrived, whether they were cool or they were a nerd, they were all in the same boat. And you did your best to try to help somebody kind of just not run away or freak out, or just trying to get through the next day. And that was the best part, was you were watching out for yourself, but and there was the guys who were cool and the guys who weren't, but everybody really did try to help each other.
So what's it been like for you to come back after 30 years, 40 years, and see all these guys who they're the same guys, but they're older now, glasses, some overweight, some gray hair. Have things changed, and what things have stayed the same?
The things that have stayed the same is you can see a lot of the guys. They still have sort of this independence within them, whether they went in the corporate world or whatever, but you're really I think you're seeing a better side. Each one of them have had a chance to grow up. They've all gone through, almost to a person, they've gone through really tough times in life. And not necessarily because of bad behavior or anything, but just a lot of rough stuff.
It's the nature of life.
And a lot of them are mature, and just the coming together and the nature of how this came together was really cool in that there was a lot of, people were kind of a little standoffish. I'm not sure I want to go to a reunion. But this wasn't like regular reunions. This were guys just coming together, and there was a lot of healing, a lot of, I'm going to say, hatchets being buried in odd ways where, just if you had an animosity with the school or your past or whatever, you're able to come back together and have some laughs, and really you see some guys just being able to talk.
And can you move a little bit closer together if you don't? There you go.
No, he's gay. I can't.
All right. Well, we're gonna video. We videotape everybody. So, you're from Garland, Texas.
Right.
You're from Dallas.
Yeah.
And you guys met in elementary school.
Right.
And you were about 6 years old. We know that much. That much you'll admit. And then, did you go to the Schreiner Institute at the same year, same time?
And I went a year before.
He actually went before.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to pave the way.
Well, of course, somebody has to.
Right.
Somebody has to.
And
okay.
Like I said, back in elementary school, we've had our problems because I was on the safety patrol team in elementary school, and he actually went and got me kicked off the safety patrol.
He did?
Team. Yes, he did.
I thought you could tell me he was crossing against the light and you had to hit him with those signs, or
He made up some story that I was smoking or something like that. I can't remember what it was. And that's a true story. I was let off the safety patrol team, and from there I went downhill.
You've never let him forget that, huh?
From there I led a life of crime.
Well, what years did you go to Schreiner Institute?
68 to 70.
68 through 70? What about you?
70.
Just 70, okay. And speaking of a life of crime, tell me about some of the pranks that you guys did there. I'm sure something happened.
Well, the most exciting thing that I recall, and it actually is very memorable for him, is he had a birthday party, which I planned, a surprise birthday party, and in his room, and he had snuck out illegally
For the weekend, which I always did.
and he showed up in his room thinking he was sneaking in safe,
Right.
and there's a surprise birthday party.
So it was quite a surprise at that point.
Well, see, every weekend I had this girlfriend that went to St. Mary's in San Antonio.
Okay.
And of course, I never had a weekend pass. Then they wouldn't let me off.
So you felt it on your own to...
And I had a car parked illegally off the campus. I made the mistake one time of parking in front of the sheriff's house one time, and they kind of ran a check, and there went my car. But yeah, I'd go date Melinda, and then I came home or came back to the dorm, and there's this little party, and during the little thing while we were having this little party, here comes Mr. Campion, since I was on the ground floor.
I heard about him already too, yeah.
Stuck his head through the screen, just to see what was going on, and yeah, we had our times.
So I hear...
was the best years of my life.
And why is that?
It's just the people I met, the camaraderie, I needed that at that time.
Okay.
My mom knew that I needed that, and if I hadn't been so independent and listened more, I probably would have gotten more out of it, which I'm sorry I didn't. But
that's the way life is, isn't it?
Stuff happens.
Yeah, we always wish we could go back and do some things differently.
Yeah, exactly.
How many times have you been to this reunion?
This is my first.
Your first one, okay. And this is the third one they've had, I believe, right? What about you?
All three.
You've been to all three, okay. So he had to pay the way for you.
Right.
And later on. Right. So when you see these gentlemen again, are they all the same? They different? I mean, obviously they look a little bit different, but
a tad bit different.
Yeah.
Everybody grows, but everybody's the same in a lot of regards.
Yeah.
What are you doing now?
I work for the Texas Department of Corrections.
Okay. Really? Where at?
I work here in Dallas.
Okay.
Or not here.
There in Dallas?
Yeah.
Are you in a?
I work in the
What about you?
funeral director.
You're a funeral. Is he joking or is he
No,
serious?
no.
Okay.
In fact,
I gotta
usually when
ask.
he calls me up, he tells me someone that we knew had died. So usually when I see his name,
You don't want to take his phone calls.
No, I see Sparkman and I hang. I don't want to answer. Yeah.
My family's been in the funeral business
For
in Dallas
quite some time?
For four generations.
Wow. Okay. I asked because I already have. Lon already told me he was in prison and all the. I never know what people are telling me
Well,
the truth.
Lon,
No surprise there.
I actually knew Lon when he was Lonette
Oh, okay.
before the sex change.
This will be fun
So
later on to watch.
We don't want to go through that.
That must have happened after prison, I guess.
Well, yes.
All right. So you're back in Dallas as well. Your family.
Always been there.
Okay. Good deal.
And another reason why I had to come here, because see, they thought I was dead.
Okay.
Thanks to somebody who spread a rumor.
I actually thought
Well, he wouldn't know how to do it. So.
Well, he had spread a rumor that years ago that I was killed in a shootout with the DAA, and so I kind of proved that I was still alive and well. And
I'm John Thomason, and I grew up in Center Point, Texas. And when I graduated from high school, then I went to Schreiner as a student. Then went on to the University of Texas and finished my undergraduate and graduate degrees, and went back to Schreiner to teach.
Oh, really?
So I taught in the high school department really only in the summers between my undergraduate and graduate degrees. Then when I came back to Schreiner after I got my graduate degrees, I taught college courses, but I supervised a high school dormitory.
And that's a job, I'm sure.
Oh, that was an interesting job, yes. I supervised high school dorm for 4 years. And when you teach at Schreiner, at that time at least, most everybody, all the faculty lived on campus, took all of their meals in the campus. So you really get to know your students. Even the guys, at that time mainly guys, who aren't your students you get to know because you're around them all the time.
So what years were you teaching there?
I started teaching there in '68 and left in '76.
Okay, so you were, and when were you a student there?
I was a student there '62 to '64.
Wow. Okay. All right. So you were just a few years older than some of the students you were teaching.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting. Back then, I was 6 years older than. The difference between an 18-year-old and a 24-year-old is substantial, especially when one of you is the student and the other one the teacher. But now we're just all old.
Right, right. Well, tell me about some of the memories that you had of the Schreiner Institute. Any particular memory that stands out?
Well, it was always sort of a game being a faculty member with these kids. They were kids at the time, at least. They were always into mischief, and one of my duties was to try to keep them from sneaking out of the dorm at night.
I'm sure that never happened.
As I understand it, they knew that I circled the dorm, and they knew how long my lap took, and they could time their sneaking out so that it would happen while I was on the other side of the building.
They got creative.
Apparently they outsmarted me.
And what about soap in the fountain? Did that ever
There was
happen?
soap in the fountain. I think it actually happened before my time there, but I've even heard stories about automobiles being placed in the administrative building.
Yeah, that I like. That's creative. Yeah. So did you, any pranks that you got involved in? Anything you did?
Never.
No, you were a straight arrow the whole time you were there.
I'm confessing to nothing.
All right. You'll admit nothing. And where do you live right now?
I'm in Austin. I've been teaching at Austin Community College.
Okay.
And I'm officially retired.
What do you teach?
Teach math.
Math? Okay.
And still teaching a couple of courses there at Austin Community College. But
when you were a student there at Schreiner Institute, were there any particular teachers or faculty members that kind of stood out to you that you remember that made a big influence on you?
Yeah, Mr. Ainsworth was a favorite of mine. He taught English, and he also worked with theater productions, and I was interested in those and was in some of his plays. And,
okay, excellent.
Gosh, a lot of them that I had as teachers were still teaching there when I went back as a teacher. Mr. Hildebrand, as a math teacher, was excellent, and he was still a teacher when I went back. Mr. Chambers was my first college English teacher, and he was a little bit more demanding than my previous English teachers had been. Learned a lot from him.
Did the Schreiner Institute have a bigger impact on you as a student when you were a young man, or when you taught there, or both?
Well, really both, because just in totally different phases of my life. I really loved Schreiner as both. As a student, it was a small enough place, so that I could get the courses I wanted and needed for my major, get a lot of attention from teachers. I remember Mr. Hildebrand seeing that I was making a low grade one mid-semester report, and he called me into his office, wanted to know what was going on. I said, I just don't understand. He said, you come in my office every week until we get that up to a passing grade. But he was the assistant dean at the time.
Okay.
But he was willing to spend that kind of time with me to make sure I succeeded in that class. So it was really important to me. I was also, because it was so small, able to be involved in all the extracurricular stuff I wanted to be in. The choir, the band, the newspaper, yearbook staff, that kind of thing.
And what this reunion has been going on for 3 years now?
I believe this is the third year,
okay.
yeah.
Have you been to all of them?
Yes.
Have you been to every one of them? Okay.
Yes.
Do you intend on going to the rest of them as long as you're still breathing?
Yeah, there's a slightly different crowd that shows up every year, and so I hate to miss any of them.
Yeah. So you've got guys from all different years, and you see each other as still 17 or 16 years old?
No. In fact, if they didn't have name tags on, I wouldn't know who most of them are. I have memories of them, but they were teenagers then.
Is there any one thing that you recall from the Schreiner Institute that you can that kind of had a big impact on your life? Any one memory that burns in you, or?
Well, especially from when I was a teacher there, I made friends there with my students. Many of whom are still friends and still in contact with.
Wow.
So yeah, I was young enough when I started my teaching career that I became friends with a lot of students and kind of followed them then through their college careers and their family passages and that sort of thing. And
you will admit to no pranks at all while you were there? You never went to the graveyard?
I've only heard about the graveyard.
You've only heard about that. You only heard about the fountain getting soaked. I tell you, nobody will admit to anything on film, at least.
And I don't know who set the laundry room on fire.
Someone set the, I also heard, and I could be wrong, that someone actually burned a dorm down.
A dorm did burn down?
Yeah.
I like to think it was lightning.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and let's hope that, yeah, we'll just leave it at that. So you are semi-retired in Austin. Now, before we talked, you were talking to Harry?
Yes.
Is that right? Now, isn't he an A&M? He's an Aggie.
I believe.
And you were what he would call a tea-sipper?
I think that's true, yes.
From, saw him off?
But we're able to get along.
You still get along?
Yes.
Okay, well.
Only because of our Schreiner connection.
There you go. Otherwise, it would be all-out war. Yeah. All right, John, I appreciate your time. We'll talk. So, how did you guys get shanghaied into cooking?
After we got out of prison.
Oh, okay. The prison food was so good that you decided to be a cook. And what is your name, sir?
I am Lon. Breedlove, yes.
And what years did you go to Schreiner?
I was there in 69, 68, 69, 70, little summer school in there.
Okay, all right. And where were you from when you went there?
I was from Celaya, Guanajuato, Mexico.
From Mexico?
Yes, sir. Where,
I just talked to Harry, who was from Guatemala, and went there at the same time, yeah.
So I was a gringo that was transplanted to Mexico.
And
Harry's the real stuff.
How'd you end up in Mexico?
My father was running from the law.
Okay.
Yeah. Should I look at you or you?
Yeah, you can look at the camera, or you look at me, whatever you want to do. This is America. You can do whatever you want.
He was with Bird's Eye Frozen Foods.
Oh, okay. All right.
So that's why we moved down there.
And so you end up back here in Kerrville, the Schreiner Institute.
Pretty incredible, yeah. So it was kind of the to-do thing. Growing up in Mexico, it's kind of an older city.
Okay.
And everybody sent their kids to military school as part of their maturity and growing up, right?
Or at least to try to make them more mature, right?
Well, and for those guys, I think it was how they learned to speak English.
Really?
For me, it was learning how to...
You can look at me, it's okay.
Learn new traits. I don't know, yeah, sorry. Okay, cool.
So, learn new traits.
Yeah, the trendy things at that time of life.
Like soap in the fountain.
1969. Yeah, things like that.
Did you ever soap the fountain?
I never did.
Never. No one so far has told me that he did that.
Only heard about it.
You only heard about it. You read about it in a book somewhere, right? You were not involved in any kind of pranks or any kind of tomfoolery at all?
Right? Watch out, your nose is growing. I know. Maybe once or twice.
Tell me one story. Tell me something. You gotta tell me something that happened.
Here's what I asked. To come back and talk to me in about
When you're
30 minutes.
not in the middle of cooking.
Because I know I just got a little deadline and I'm kind of nervous, but I got a great story for you.
Okay, we'll do. All right.
Cool, thanks.
And your name was Lon, right?
Yes.
All right, Lon, we'll talk again. Tell me your name and what years you went to Schreiner Institute, if you would.
Yeah, I went to Schreiner and back in 68, 69, and 70.
It's been a few years ago.
Yeah, I graduated in 70. See a lot of people here that I remember.
Okay.
What else is the other question?
Well, you can talk. You tell me anything about it. I know the girls didn't show up till what, 71.
Well, they had a two-year junior college when I was there. The dorms were all male, no females. But then the females did come later on after I left.
And from what I understand, I've talked to several people so far, and no one will admit it, but somehow the fountain was soaped frequently.
Yes, wasn't me.
You never did. You didn't do it. No one has done this. I'm going to find somebody
other
that has.
kinds of trouble.
Oh, you got another kinds of trouble?
Yes.
And did you go to the graveyard? Didn't go to the graveyard. And what kind of pranks or things that do you recall?
Well, I didn't do any pranks, but got caught sneaking out a couple times.
Okay.
Nothing serious.
Any teachers or faculty members that you remember that made an impact on you?
Bill Campion. He made a good impression on me.
And why is that?
He was just a good teacher. Mm-hmm. Also, a good mentor. I mean, he kept us out of trouble and just taught us right from wrong, what we should do. And
what did he teach?
Gosh, so long ago I don't even remember.
Okay, all right. What kind of memories do you?
He's basketball coach.
Okay.
Still. What else?
What kind of memories do you have of the Schreiner Institute? Is it something you think about every once in a while?
Oh, quite often. Basically, it was the best times of my life. Mm-hmm. When I was growing up.
You were what ages were you there when you were there?
Don't even remember. Just high school.
High school ages. Yeah. Okay. And where are you living right now?
Out in Cypress, Texas.
Cypress, Texas. And what do you do?
Retired.
Retired. Okay. And before you came to Schreiner Institute, where did you come from?
Houston.
From Houston to Houston. So Cypress is in the Houston area, right?
Yeah, it's just like, it's incorporated into Harris County. It's not very far.
All right.
A few exits down the road.
And what was your first thought about the campus when you arrived?
Back in the 70s?
Back in your first thoughts.
60s it was. It was kind of impressive, I liked it because they were small classes, so you got some attention in your studies, and they help you, pass and learn. Whereas versus the big school I'd come from in Houston,
sure,
the classes were overcrowded and teachers really didn't care that much. Where they seem to care a lot more now at Schreiner with the smaller classes.
Sure, yeah, makes a big impact.
Oh yeah, and made a lot of close friends because it was all a close-knit people.
So that was my next question. Are there any friends that you made there that, now, this thing has been going on for what, 3 or 4 years?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody that you have stayed friends with throughout the whole time?
Tim Librock.
Tell me who you are and a little bit about yourself.
I'm Craig Martin, and I live in Dallas, and lived in Dallas before Schreiner. And I actually didn't get sent away to Schreiner. I actually asked to go to Schreiner.
A lot of the guys were sent away.
I'm pretty rare.
So you decided to come. You left out the Dallas area, went down here to Kerrville.
Yeah, my dad actually took me down. He threatened me. He said, if you don't straighten up, I'm going to send you to Schreiner. So I actually, a few months later, said, can I go to that school you went and showed me? But we really had a lot of fun.
It was no longer a threat at that point, right?
It was a lot of fun.
What years were you there, Craig?
70 and 71.
70, 71, okay. Do you have any faculty members, any teachers that stood out to you that made a big impact?
Yeah, we did a video last year, and I said then Colonel McCullough was a geometry teacher, and I really, really liked him. He was great. But Schreiner was a great experience for all of us. I mean, you ate and slept and played and roam the countryside with these guys, and it's really a family. It's really a family. So getting back to see them every year is really great.
And what has it meant to you to see these guys then? And this is the third reunion they've had?
I've been to 2. This one and last.
You've been to the last 2. Yeah. Okay. You plan on coming again in the future then as well?
If I'm around.
As long as you're available.
Yeah.
Any pranks or crazy stories you want to share with us?
Gosh, we had so many. I mean, every night after 10 o'clock, you know, we'd sneak out, and weekends we'd say we were going home. Like I'd say I was going home to Dallas, and we'd end up in Houston or San Antonio, hitchhiking. You know, just crazy.
Were you ever involved in any of the bottle rocket fights and the quadrangle?
Oh yeah. We'd take the closet rods.
Okay.
The hangers go over in the closet, and we'd use them for bazookas, and we put the bottle rockets in them, and skyrockets, you know, the bigger artillery. But it was great. It was just great. Hitchhiking all over the countryside.
Yeah.
You know, as long as we got back by Sunday night. You know.
Now I've talked to several people here, and no one will admit this yet, but did you soap the fountain at all?
No, I don't think I ever did that.
Okay.
I enjoyed watching.
You saw it happen.
Clean it up, yeah, but it was.
But as far as you actually doing it, that never happened.
No.
Nobody wants. I think somebody actually burned a dorm down at some point, but nobody wants to admit to that.
I don't know about that.
And what about the graveyard? You ever sneak away to that?
Oh yeah, we smoked some pot in the graveyard. My first day, my roommate said we have to go to the river, and I said, "What do you mean we have to go to the river? How far away is it?" And he said, "It's not very far." So everybody at the school was there. My first day.
Okay.
They were passing marijuana cigarettes and Boone's Farm apple wine, and I'd never done anything. I never had a drink or smoked pot. And I said, "Well, can I say no?" And he said, "No, they'll beat the hell out of you. They'll say you're a narc." So that's how I started.
Well, let me ask you this: unlike some of these other folks, you actually asked to go there. What was your first day like? I mean, was it different than what you expected?
Oh gosh, yeah. I had heard though. The reason I asked to go there was a guy that I knew that went there said it was a lot of fun. It was more fun than way more fun than living at home. So I got there, and obviously by that first day, you know, that's the way it went. You know, it was a lot of fun.
What do you do for a living now?
I'm a real estate developer.
Okay, in the Dallas area?
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, I appreciate your time.
Recognize me.
All right, well, tell me your name and where you from?
Michael Moore. I was from Irving, Texas, and when I was a student here at Schreiner.
And what years were you here, Michael?
I was here from January '68 through first semester of college in 1971. And I was in military school and had a great time.
All right, so tell me a little bit more about the time you spent at the Schreiner Institute.
Oh, I enjoyed it. My father died in '67, and I was dropping in my grades and all this, so I told my mother, I said, "Hey, I need to do something about my grades, raise them up." So I talked to her and a friend of mine who's already attended Schreiner.
Who was that?
Dirk Schultz.
Wow, Dirk Schultz.
Yes. So he told us about Schreiner, so I told my mother I want to change my grades. My dad been dead 6 months, so I went ahead and enrolled in Schreiner. It's the best thing I ever did in my life. I met all these fine people here, and I'm sorry that some of them are no longer here.
Where did you come from when you went there?
Irving, Texas.
From Irving, okay.
Yeah.
Is that where you're living now?
No, after that I went home and transferred here after college. Went to North Texas State University for 1 semester, dropped out, started working in a factory, and said, "No, that's not what I want to do." So my mother heard about a mechanic in school for aircraft in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I enrolled in that, went up there. I was going to school there, having a good time, just like I was at Schreiner.
Right.
And then I met my wife and got married, graduated from school, got married, had children. I've been there.
Is that up in Denton? Is that where you were?
At North Texas State University for 1 semester, and then I left.
Okay.
And went.
You're Tulsa. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I went to Tulsa. Went to school at the Spartan School of Aeronautics.
And where are you living right now?
In Broken Arrow, Oklahoma.
Broken Arrow. I've been around that area. I've got a buddy that delivers for Bluebell ice cream up there. In that
I live right by Bluebell.
There you go.
81st off 81st Broken Arrow Expressway.
Huh.
So I'm still a Texas fan. I sat many times in the living rooms while everyone was cheering for OU. And Fairbanks and Switzer was kicking the Longhorns. But
that's a big rivalry there. Texas UT and OU.
But they finally started winning. But I've learned a lot from going to school here.
What did you learn? What are some of the things that stuck with you?
The camaraderie I shared, the confidence in myself. And I found out what a library is for.
Okay.
And I realized that there's, if you study, you make good grades. So, I mean, there was a teacher, Karen Massey, who's an algebra teacher. You always have someone that influences my life. So she's the one that turned that perpetual light bulb on in my head and changed my life.
Wow.
You know, you give all your credit to the teachers. Well, she changed my life. And I'd like to see her sometime. I don't know if they'll get a hold of her or not. But I had a good time coming here, and I got lots and lots and lots of stories to tell here.
This reunion has gone on about 3 years. Is this your first one, or?
Yes, I got an email from Bert Blossom talking to me last year about it, and then a little over a year ago, and I thought it was spam, but I knew Bert, but I knew him, but I thought it was spam, so I didn't answer it. So then I got a telephone call back in October, September, October, and actually talked to him. And man, I was on the phone for an hour and a half, and we were catching up on all the stuff. He's telling me who was here, who's departed, you know, who he's talked to, and all this. So I was giving him all kinds of things. I don't know if I was responsible for finding anybody, but I knew a lot of people. So when I come here, I haven't missed anybody, recognizing anybody.
Everybody looks kind of the same, or?
Well,
it's being a little bit older.
In 3D, but on a 2D picture, it's a little bit harder to discern, you know, the details of what you're used to. But I haven't missed anybody yet. You know, walk up to them, know who they are, without the name tag.
Well, the name tags are going to help, that's for sure. Let's walk down this little way if we can, just to get a little bit quieter. You've got a quiet voice, and we want to stand by the outside shower here. Tell me a little bit about some of the pranks or some of the crazy stories that you remember. You say you have some things that.
Oh gosh, there's millions of. We used to have fireworks in bottle rockets. We'd buy bottle rockets. So it was Hoon Hall, and you had Dickey and AC Hall, and you had the quadrangle across.
Right in the middle, okay.
Yeah. So I lived at AC Schreiner at the time, so I snuck over to Hoon Hall, and they had redone one of the dorm dads, I guess, apartments with the carpet. So took the carpet roll out of there.
Right.
And if you ever put a bottle rocket in a carpet roll, that thing's like just straight shot to wherever it is. We hit everything. And that was one of the biggest highlights of my life. And then going down the river and catching snakes down the road at the river. Used to do that.
And did you ever soap the fountain?
No, I didn't do stupid stuff.
Okay.
I would do things that everybody else would be involved in, you know. But, you know, there was other pranks. One night, late at night, one of the guys had a record, and it had sound effects on it.
Okay.
You know, remember when Quadrophenia and all that was coming? So we turned on the record real loud, and what it was is the sound of a car speeding up real fast, slamming on the brakes and crashing.
Oh, man.
So we turned that up, and it's 2 or 3 in the morning, and you're hearing that. It sounds like someone's crashing a car on the campus. So, I mean, we don't know the effects of it.
Oh, that's
great. We were laughing our rear end.
Somebody heard that. They all have had to have heard it, right?
Oh, yeah. Let me see. Another one was... well, I don't know.
Take your time. Go ahead.
Okay. Another one was I played basketball. Okay. And that was the first year that Schreiner won the championship, and so we were a co-championship with San Marcos. And then we went, me, Judd Harrison, and Ken Langenbeck, and neither one of them were making it this year.
Okay.
I had a car, and they didn't, so I drove them. I went and bought some beer, and they sold a 17-year-old boy beer, so what else is new? So anyway, we bought the beer, and we went up on the hill, and we started drinking the beer, and here come this headlight song. But thank God I played basketball with the star players.
They let you slide, huh?
Well, Bill Campion came up and bailed us out.
And then what was his, was he a teacher, because a dean, or?
Yeah, he's a dean.
Okay, because I've heard a lot of him tonight, and he had a big impact on people.
He did me especially. Well, I call him coach, I haven't seen him.
Yeah.
But I loved that guy. He took real good care of us, especially me that night, because if I hadn't played basketball, I probably would have been kicked out of school. But I played basketball with the Stars as a team, and I got, everything was quiet, and spent one weekend on detention,
So he got in trouble, but he was, he gave some little love and tough love, I guess.
Yeah, and you hear about today, they don't get that way. They get real NCAA jumps on them. But back then, things were a whole lot different.
Yeah.
But there's lots of more things, and I've been getting together with some of the guys, and they remember things we've done.
Were you there? Were you there when the girls showed up at school? When they became co-ed?
Yeah, they were co-eds my first year.
Oh, okay.
They were co-eds. Yeah, they were already. I don't know.
What year? What was your first year?
My first year was January of '68.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I was a midterm kid, and then I graduated in May of '70, and then I attended one semester of college, and I was in Plato Hall, and it was already co-educational then. It was that year I was there. I remember that. But the girls of St. Mary's, I don't know if you heard any stories.
Yeah, those
about
in
that.
San Antonio.
Yeah, we invite them. They would come up here every year. I was a shy guy, so I mean, I would dance with them and just go back and sit down. I was shy.
Right.
Pretty shy up until I was 20, and then I realized, oh yeah, okay, these are girls. You know what I mean? But it was just the thing about being here. But I tell you, I had the greatest time of my life. The hills, the countryside out here. I had an uncle that lived in San Antonio, and I would go up there. My first cousin, Davy Johnson, who's the coach of the Washington Nationals.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
And the year before I graduated, I went to San Antonio, and he played Baltimore Orioles.
How about that?
Second baseman and that was the year they played the Mets. And there's a Trivial Pursuit card that says, who made the last out in the Miracle Mets? And Davy Johnson.
How about that?
Yeah. So,
that's pretty neat.
There's another story I had. I come in late past curfew. I went with
What time was curfew at?
It was, I think it was 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock, okay.
And so I went with a college guy who invited me, had an extra ticket to go see Peter, Paul, and Mary in San Antonio.
Wow.
And we stayed there till it was over, and it got past curfew, so I mean, I was freaked out. I thought I was in trouble. So get home from that and go to my dorm room at AC Schreiner. Nobody missed me. No one knew anything. Yeah, so I got away with that.
And you saw a good concert.
Oh, yeah. Peter, Paul, and Mary, I think two of them are gone.
Yeah, yeah. I think Mary's still alive.
No, Mary's gone.
Oh, she passed away. Yeah. Okay, you're right.
And one of the guys, one of the bald-headed one's still alive.
Yeah.
But I don't remember.
How about that?
But,
it's a different time.
I had a lot. Did that. Used to. Had a Estes Rockets. Okay, the Estes Rockets.
Yeah.
Were back then it was easy to go. All you had to do is write and send a check to Denver, Colorado, and they'd send you these
huge rockets,
these bomb-making things. So I made one, and I'd always buy the rocket, that were too powerful for them. I'd always buy the upstage rockets.
Right.
Put them in there. So I had a little rocket, put one of those upstage rockets in there, and that thing shot straight up, and we could barely see where the parachute would deploy. And we started running, and the field out there, the parade field by the armory, was long, half a mile long. So we're watching that rocket come down that parachute, and we ran and ran and ran. And then we got to the residential area that was, that would be south.
Okay.
Past the armory, residential area, and it was still above all those trees. So that was $5 in 1970. It's quite a bunch of money.
That's a lot of money, yeah.
So that rocket was gone. But that was one of my favorite memories. Someone call me? But anyway, that was one of my favorite memories.
So you think about the Schreiner Institute through the years?
All the time. Like I think of Dick Bundy. I remember playing football and making a block for him, and he scored a touchdown. And I remember Jim Freeman. He was a quarterback, and I would go into quarterback. And we only won one game, and we beat a junior varsity high school team. That was the only game we won. We got thumped on all the rest of it.
Yeah, but you had fun.
Oh, heck yeah. I played high school football when I was in junior high, so it was about 4 years later I played. And played basketball, and that was when Coach Campion was coaching us. And we won the co-championship with San Marcos, and that was a highlight of my life. And I had a story with Mr. Campion when he gave us the banquet after it was over, because we won. And I told him during the banquet that I prayed to win one of those games. And I'm sorry, not the banquet, but he brought me up. I told him confidentially that I'd prayed real hard to win a game, so we could do that. And then during the banquet, he brought that up, so I was kind of humbled by it.
Wow.
but it was kind of embarrassing when you're a 17-year-old kid.
Well, but you've had some good, you get some good memories from this place.
Yes, I do. And, you know, I've dreamt of this since Bert got a hold of it. I dreamt of coming here.
Yeah?
Seeing everybody. You know, everybody's changed, but I still look the same, you know. I still got that youthful look, you know. I just wear glasses and hearing aids, so they'll feel
We're
good.
all 24 or 20 still in our minds, right?
Yeah, well, of course. You know, I tried to play softball with I played competitive softball in my 30s and early 40s, so I tried to play again. And I could throw a ball from center field to one bounce off the pitcher's mound when I was playing competitively and hit the catcher. So, I mean, I thought I was going to do that in practice when I'm 60 years old, and I threw that ball. It probably went 25 feet. I thought I threw the heck out of that ball. And it was embarrassing. Once that happens to you, you realize you're getting older.
Wow.
But I missed the countryside. I missed going out the Guadalupe River, catching snakes, skipping rocks. Me and a guy named Pooley, my first year, I used to go down there and skip rocks. And to this day, I skip rocks. And people say, "Oh, you do that really good." You know, well, I had a lot of practice when I was a kid. And I think of this place constantly. And I've just found out Johnny Manziel. You know,
Yeah, the quarterback for
he's here in town.
A&M. Oh, is he here?
Yeah, there he went to school at Tybee.
Oh, really? Oh, that's right. I knew he went to Tybee.
Yeah, so he went to school there, so he's here this weekend.
Yeah.
I think that'll be tomorrow night.
How about that?
I thought that was awesome. Of course, I was rooting for A&M.
No, I see your shirt there.
Yeah, because
you're wearing the burnt orange.
I hate OU. You know, yeah, it was funny when I moved to Broken Arrow or Tulsa in '72. I'd sit in the living room and everybody's rooting for OU, and I'm the only Texas boy. You know, Fairbanks was beating us, and Switzer was beating us, and I think we won 3 games during the '70s.
Wow.
And then we got better.
Yeah,
We
got a lot better. Yeah, you got to stick with your team, though.
That's what I did. Well, let's talk
It became a military school and then kind of transferred into a regular public school, right?
Right. It was the first year there was military.
Okay.
Then they got rid of the military. My last year there, no military. We had girls on campus. So
that's a strange thing.
Change.
And nobody was soaping the fountain at that point, right?
Oh, everybody was soaping the fountain at that point. As the years progressed, the rowdier it got. It's kind of crazy.
Well, why was the Schreiner Institute so important to you in your life?
Important?
Yeah.
It's where I discovered that you can, you know that old saying about jumping from the frying pan into the fire?
Right.
Well, I wasn't a very popular person in junior high school.
Okay.
I figured I needed to make a new start.
You reinvented yourself?
I reinvented myself.
In a good way or a bad way? How did that happen?
Not necessarily. And what I discovered is that it's really you.
Right.
Because not only did I go someplace where I had a clean start, but I found out that I was still not popular there.
And it was okay.
And it was okay.
And it was okay.
Well, actually it wasn't, because now I had to live with the sons of bitches.
And where were you from when you came there?
From San Antonio.
From San Antonio. Where do you live nowadays?
San Antonio.
Okay, what do you do?
I work for Accenture.
Okay. All right. Big company.
World's largest business consulting company.
That's right.
I write curriculum for businesses. So
and this is
training for big multinational corporations.
Excellent. Is this the first time you've been here?
This
second,
is my
third? Okay, so you've been to every one of them.
Yes, every one.
Because they've had only 3, right?
Right. I'm only one from '73 here.
Okay. Are you the only one left alive, or?
Well, '73 was a rough year. Of the few of us that remain, many of them just don't like people.
Okay. The '70s were a tough time for some folks. That's right.
So some of them are in jail.
Okay.
Some of them are on parole, can't leave the county. Some of them are just dead.
Any favorite pranks that y'all did when you were there that you remember?
I used to have a '62 Lancer. Paint peeling off of it.
A great car.
Yeah, it was a great car. And about the time I'd leave town, leave campus to go to town to go drinking my senior year, because I was 18 and that was legal.
That's right.
In the afternoon, President Jenkins, not Jenkins, President, what's his name? Anyway, the president of the school would be walking from the administration building to his house, and I'd just be running right up behind him, throw it in neutral, and line up right behind him, and rev my.
And that never got old, right?
Never got old.
And not for you at least, maybe for him.
No, actually didn't ever get old for him either. I saw him years later. And said, Morgan, you almost caught me a few times.
Well, excellent. So you had a pretty good time, have good memories from the Institute.
Had some good memories, some bad memories, but all in all, it turned out okay. We had a lot of fun.
Any favorite teachers?
Mr. Ainsworth.
What about Miss? Why was he your favorite?
He took time. He was extremely intelligent. We had great class discussions. He let us hang out, talk philosophy,
excellent,
and all sorts of cool stuff. And he was just a really nice teacher, really good teacher.
All right, Richard, nice to meet you. And you mentioned, before we turned the camera on, you mentioned that you did this last year. So this has been going on for 3 years. Is this your third one or
second one?
Second one, okay. Has this one been a little bit better? Some more people, different people, or all the same?
A lot of the same people, and a few that did not show up last year.
Okay. I think we're seeing more wives this time.
A few more. I brought mine last time, and she's back.
Okay.
There's a few more.
Well, tell me what is it? You're Wiley?
I'm Wiley Bryce.
Okay.
Well, my father died when I was very, very young. I was 14 years old in 1968, June 1968. And I was going to military school then at San Marcos Baptist Academy. It left a big chip on my shoulder for many years. And
how old were you when he died?
14.
14,
so
that's
it
tough.
was in June 1968. Of course, I turned 15 in August that year, so I was almost 15. And went back home. I had a chip on my shoulder, so my mother put up with it for a little bit over a year, well, a year and a half. And she finally said, look, you can go back to San Marcos Baptist Academy, you can go to New Mexico Military Institute, or you can go to Schreiner Institute. And a couple of my buddies had told me about Schreiner Institute, so I said, well, I'm going to Schreiner.
Okay.
Of course, that was like jumping out of the pot to the fire, so it was... But it was a good bunch of guys. I had like the male influence in my life I needed then, even though it was not for very long. And then I had the good friends, like brothers and stuff. And in between that summer, between when I came in at midterm, in that summer, I lived in Houston for 3 months. And I lived with a bunch of the guys that, one of them that went there was my roommate, and we were tied up with 4 of the other guys that went to Schreiner Institute. And don't ask me their names, I can't remember. My roommate was Kurt Purdy, and he made it the very first reunion, but he hadn't made it since. So
is this the 4th one they've had, or 3rd?
This is the 3rd.
Okay. Where were you from when you went there to the Schreiner Institute?
I was from Snyder, Texas.
Oh, okay. Right. Where do you live now?
I live in Lafayette, Louisiana.
Lafayette, Louisiana.
It's a great place.
You had a bit of a trip to get here then, huh?
No, I wasn't too bad. About 450 miles, 460 or 70 miles. It wasn't too bad. I enjoyed, like I said, the first one I kind of came on a fluke because I didn't know if anybody would recognize me or if I would even know anybody.
Right.
And Kurt Purdy came on that one, and sure enough, it was, I'd made real good friends with Tim and Lee Librock. Lee hadn't been back since, but me and Tim reconnected. I made pretty good friends with Pat McGuigan. We reconnected. Chris Pellman came to... I don't know if he came to the first one. I think he came to the second one. I don't know if he came to the first one. We reconnected. Me and Sonny reconnected. And so, it's over half dozen people here that I reconnected to 40 years prior.
Sure.
It's been a very good experience.
Your wife is Yuko? Is that right?
That's right.
And you met in Japan, is what she told me?
at the Tony Lama boot store in Kyoto.
Imagine that they would have a Tony Lama boot store there, but they did.
My best buddy, yes, owns that.
Tell me a little bit about Schreiner Institute. What years did you go there?
I think my younger brother and I arrived in '69. I'm a graduate of the class of '71.
Okay.
And we had just arrived. My dad was in the military, so we had just arrived from being stationed in Japan, and that was a place for us to go to school that wasn't in the big city.
Where did you come from then when you arrived?
From Tokyo.
Okay, so you went from Japan to Kerrville.
Yeah, my dad we would relieve the watermelon stands of any of their surplus melons.
Excellent. Yeah, that's right.
To the dorm sometimes.
That's a public service, I'm sure.
I think they still had plenty of melon business to do after we left.
Now, what about Soap in the Fountain? Did you ever do that?
I enjoyed the results of somebody's actions, but
nobody will ever admit to that so far.
I never had anything to do with any soap.
You just relieved excess melons and had bottle rocket fights.
And also, I was in the organization called the Rangers.
Okay.
We had that 640-acre section of land to play on.
All right.
And so we'd run around playing soldier, throwing firecracker bombs at each other. And, those are sweet memories. That usually doesn't always come with the high school experience.
That's true. Any teachers or faculty members that you remember that made a big impact on you?
JT. A real friend, a real contemporary practically to us who are his students. Gosh, Bill Campion, what an outstanding attitude he had.
Yeah, I heard his name already tonight.
Yeah, he had a big task to keep us corralled, and yet he had a real positive outlook and attitude about it, which I would find challenging if I had his position, and a bunch of teenage boys to keep charge of.
Did you ever go into Kerrville during that time frame at all?
No.
Stayed on campus then?
Oh yeah. I would hitchhike to San Antonio every chance I got to go to St. Mary's Girls' School. Very interesting place at the time. But
my name is Bill Campion, and when I worked at Schreiner with these guys, which was really a privilege to me, when I worked there, I was responsible for the high school or preparatory department.
And you were the dean of the school?
I was the dean. There was more than one. I was the dean of the high school or the college preparatory department. I was also the basketball coach. And these guys.
Can you close that door, you mind? No. Thank you very much.
These guys had the good fortune of winning the league and going 21-3 that year. Wow. Most all of them are here for the reunion. And a bunch of great guys, some that I've been able to stay in contact over the years. My wife was here. We were there from 65 to 75.
For 10 years?
We had 3 little girls when we came and had a 4th one when we left.
And you were an LDS bishop at the time as well?
I was. The church has always been an important part of our lives, and it seems that where we've lived, we've had some real opportunities for involvement. But I think the 10 years that I had the privilege of being here and seeing the growth and development of the church and the number of young men at Schreiner who got involved in the church, who came already involved in the church, was a particular, it's one of our fondest memories and one of our best experiences.
Bill, where are you living right now?
Right now, I'm living we're living in Ranger, Texas.
Okay.
And we left Schreiner in '75. We went. I never intended to be a college administrator, and yet it just seemed that we were kind of directed that way. So I went to the university and got my doctorate, and was on the faculty there for 2 years, and then became president at Henderson County Junior College, and have enjoyed a long career as a two-year college president in Texas, Oklahoma, and Florida.
Wow. So you retired, you're semi-retired?
No, we're not retired.
Okay.
It's,
what are you doing these days?
Well, we're president of Ranger College.
Okay, wow.
What we're doing. And my wife works with me. We took this one on as a challenge. This is the smallest of the 5 schools. We've had the privilege to be involved like this, but this one needed some help because we're a public 2-year college that there's no people left in Ranger, so we've had to reinvent the college with new campuses in Ranger and with new campuses in Brownwood and in Stephenville, where all our people are. We also have a campus in Comanche and Albany. And the last 3 years, the college has been the fastest growing college or university in the state of Texas. So we're kind of excited about it, and that's a good thing, but we were every bit as excited about the 10 years we spent at Schreiner interacting with these young men, and obviously we made some lifelong friendships. And I want these guys to know that I appreciate them inviting us to come back, and yet they really touched our lives in a big way too. And while maybe they're glad that we're here, we're certainly glad to be here and get to interact with all of them and see how many of them have really made some great successes of their lives, really taken advantage of the opportunities they've had.
Well, those are some kind words that you just said, and I have to tell you that you just said that these young men were important to you and they touched your lives. I can tell you that having interviewed several of them already, they said the same thing about you. There was a certain, well, for lack of a better word, a certain tenderness that you had, and yet you guided them in the right direction, and even caught a few of them doing things they weren't supposed to be doing, and maybe they got on detention, but you could have dropped the hammer a whole lot more, and you showed a little compassion there. So.
Well, you know, I want to know that I want you to know I don't remember any of the difficulties they really had or the problems they had. I just remember the many, many good things about these guys.
Well, good, good. Now they were all from different states, different cities, some from different countries.
All of them.
Some of these young men came here, shall we say, with a little bit of a lack of direction in their lives.
Yes, some of them came with some lack of direction, and hopefully the interaction. There were a bunch of really good faculty and staff at Schreiner, and with the good experiences they had and the tender mentoring. And I think Schreiner Institute was well known for a tender mentoring. They found that direction.
This is the 3rd reunion they've had. Is this the first one you've been able to come to?
No, we came for 3 hours last year.
Oh, last year.
We were here for just 3 hours because we had another commitment, and that was 2 years in the offing. So we could, but we're privileged this time to be here to get to really experience and enjoy our time with them.
And I know you said you don't recall some of the bad things. We're not talking about bad things, but I'm talking about some pranks or putting soap in the fountain. Do you recall people doing that? And
I recall
sneaking out to the graveyard and other places.
Oh, I have some real memories of some things. Yeah, I remember the bottle rocket wars between the guys in Dickey Hall and across the quadrant, the guys in Hoon Hall. There was some real fireworks wars that took place.
Nobody got hurt though, right?
No, nobody got hurt. I think there was some sneaking out that took place at night. And, these guys always say that I was pretty sharp at finding out about things, but I'm sure that I didn't find out about 10% of what really went on there. But that's okay too. And the fact that after 40 plus years, we're able to enjoy an atmosphere of mutual respect and camaraderie and have really good feelings about each other makes me feel good.
Just a couple other questions, and I appreciate your time. When you saw these men, other than last year, when you saw these gentlemen you said over 40 years ago, they were 14-year-old boys, 15, 16-year-old boys, they were very young. what about them and seeing them again, what has changed and what has stayed the same? I mean, obviously they're older, they're more mature now, but...
Well, some of them you can still recognize, and my wife was mentioning that, and we were surprised at how recognizable some of them were. I think the fact that many of them have made such successes of their lives was very impressive to me. And I think if you took a cross-section of society and then advanced that cross-section 40 years, you'd have some successes and some failures and some middle-of-the-road folks. But I think if you look at this group, there's an unusually high percentage of people who have done magnificently well, who've enjoyed successes, and there's only a very small group that maybe struggled.
And to what do you attribute that? The school?
I think I attribute that to the character with which they were endowed and to a never quit attitude. I've always believed very strongly that winners never quit, and maybe quitters never win. But I think we had this group's composed of an unusually high number of winners, people who are going to work at it till they get the job done. And I think that's what I attribute the tremendous success that so many of them enjoy.
You've lived a long life. I can just tell by little gray hair there. But life is full of challenges. It's full of ups and downs. It's full of struggles, and that is life. It's not you don't ever come to a plateau where there's no problems. It's ups and downs, peaks and valleys. As you look back at the time, those 10 years that you spent at Schreiner Institute, what is the one thing that you will take away from those? The most important thing that you take away from the memories and the time you spent there?
Well, I think at Schreiner I learned that jobs like this were not really jobs. They were ways of life. They were something that you lived, ate, breathed, slept, and it was never far from you. And the more engaged you became, which was a continuously increasing process, the more it became a part of you as you became a part of it. And I think that was a tremendous lesson for me. And I think that has probably contributed to any successes that I may have enjoyed in life as much or more than anything else.
Bill, I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, and what a great group this is. Thank you for letting me add my 2 cents.
You're welcome.